Hey folks, welcome back. So in the last video, we talked about the Pydantic and how we can validate the data with Pydantic. So in this video, we will use Pydantic with FastAPI and implement the post API endpoint. So let's go back to VS Code and get started. So this is the code from the previous video. We have two API endpoints, courses and get course. We are already running the our development server. So if we check this API endpoint, like we are not properly returning the status code, and we have the DB and DB related info in the same file. Let's break this down and clean this up a bit. Let's create a db.py file and move all related DB related things to db.py. Let's create a db.py and move this. And let's clean this function as well, I mean the endpoint. Let's add a function here, get db course by course name. Let's return the course. Let's save this and import these two in the main.py file. From db import db courses and get db course. Let's use this to get the course. Let's pass the course name. So if the course name is none, here we can see that this function is returning none if the course is not found. Then if the course is not found, and then we need to throw the 404 error. So in FastAPI we have exception class, which is HTTP exception. By using this HTTP exception, if we throw the exception error, and then that will be converted back to status code of 404. Let's try it out. If course is none, then let's throw the error HTTP exception, and it takes two arguments. We can see it here, status code and detail. Status code is 404 and detail is not found. Let's save this and reload the server, which is already reloaded, and let's go back to browser and test it. Let's refresh it, and we already have the Python course. Let's try test on it, Python, and we can see that we got the 200 response, and the response bar is this. And let's try to pass course which is not exist. Let's try ABCD and then execute. We can see that the 404 status code is returned, which is good. So now let's talk about the HTTP methods and how we can use those HTTP methods with the REST APIs. REST API and HTTP methods. So here we can see that okay, this is much cleaner. Let me open this in a new tab. So here we can see that if we are trying to create a resource, and then we need to use post method. If we are trying to read the resource, and then we need to use get method. If we are trying to update the resource, and then we need to use a put method. If we are trying to delete the resource, and then we need to use the delete method. So let's close this for now and get back to VS Code. So we will be implementing a new API endpoint, and we will be using the Pydantic with that for validation. So this is the requirement that we have. Let me close this. Yeah. So now this is the requirement that we have. So we need to add a create course API endpoint, and the request method is post, and this is the request body that the client or user will be sending, and these are the constraints on it. So name max length 50, and type should be one of compiled and interpreted, and description is max length of 500, and price max price is 1000. So we need to use Pydantic and implement all these constraints on it, and we need to return the status codes if the resource is created successfully, and then we need to return the 201 if the resource already exists, and then we need to return 409, and any validation errors we need to return 422. So let's go back to main.py and try to add the endpoint. App dot post, we know that we need to use the post for create courses, and then it doesn't take any params. Def create course, and we need to use the course create model. So we haven't created it, so we need to use the Pydantic and create this schema model. Let's create a file, schemas.py. It is typo, schemas.py, and then from Pydantic import base model, and let's write course create model, and then it inherits base model, and we need to implement the fields on it. Let's come here, we need to use name, type, and description. Let's copy name, which has a constraint, of max length is 50. The next thing is type, which is of oops, not here, should be one of interpreted or compiled. So for that we will be using a literal from typing module. From typing import literal should be one of interpreted or compiled. And the next thing is description, max length 500 characters, on str max length 500 characters, and price max of 1000 price. Then we need to use con int for this. And less than or equals to 1000. Now we have a course create Pydantic model. Let's go back to main.py, and let's import this model from schemas. Import course model, and let's use that here for now. Just validate, and then we'll be writing this to DB. Let's go back to, let's see, yeah, our application is restarted, and let's go back to browser. Let's refresh the docs. Now we can see that the code says post API endpoint. Let's try it out, and just pass empty body and see. We can see that all validation errors, and let's pass some data to check the constraints. This is a very long length string to test. Type is not interpreted, it's something. Description, just testing, and price is 1200. So we need to see validation errors for these two fields and price field as well. Let's try to execute it, and we can see the 422, the unprocessable entity error if we didn't pass the correct data. So, and our Pydantic model is validating it properly. And let's go back to VS Code and write the code to implement the create endpoint. So once we have the model, and then the requirement is to check if it is already exists. So course name equals to model.name, and let's use this db function to get the course. If course is not none, then we need to return 409 response. Let's copy this and paste it, and let's change this to 409. Already exists. And if otherwise, we need to add it to db. Course equals to, we know that we have a dict method on model which gives the validated data, and we need to add this to db. db courses dot append, as db courses is a list, course, and return course. And the status code, we need to use 201 if it is a success. So we need to pass the status code here for the route. Status code equals to 201. Let's save this and go back to browser. And refresh it. Now we can see this. Let's try to add the existing course to test whether it's working or not. Python is already there, and I'm just testing on it. It's 400, and try to send the data. So we can see that we got the 409 response back. The detail is which is already exists. Let's try to send it. Now okay, C, we didn't have the C language, right? So it is compiled, and then description is C language is awesome, and price is just 200. Let's execute it, and we can see the 201 response, and this is the data. We have C and compiled, C language is awesome, and price 200. Let's use the get endpoint to get the retrieve the newly added C language course. Let's try it out. Let's pass C, and we can see that we retrieved the 200 response. And let's go back to VS Code and see if we implemented all requirements or not. These are the requirements. If the body is correct, and then we are returning the 201 response. So if the body is incorrect, and then we are returning the 422 response. We already validated that, and we also validated the 409 response, and we validated the constraints, which is a price of max, and name constraints and type. So we satisfied all these requirements, and we used these schemas to validate the data. Yeah, so that's all for this video. Thank you.